Today's interview is with Erin Hudson. Erin is a ball of energy and awesomeness, so I really enjoyed this interview. She's a former chiropractic doctor who went into single family, who's now doing multifamily, has done 8 deals this year in 2020, which is quite incredible. But she talks about some creative strategies that she's used and ways she's been able to negotiate. So there's a lot of stuff to learn from this one, right? I really enjoyed this interview. So stick around for all of that. As always, like and subscribe on Wrestling with Real Estate, the YouTube channel. Go to the WWRE podcast and give me a 5-star rating and write me a review. It really does help build this platform and help me grow it and keep giving you guys some great content. And I'm looking to speak to as many of you as possible. If you're interested in learning more about real estate, if you just want to talk about real estate, I'm your guy. I'd love to get on a call with you guys and have that conversation. So there's going to be a link in the description down below, or you can go to wrestlingwithrealestate.com and sign up there, and we can get on a call and just have a great conversation. But before all of that, enjoy today's awesome interview with Erin Hudson. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barry Gruffers. Now today we're joined by Erin Hudson. Hey, Erin.
Hey, how's it going, Barry? Thanks so much for having me.
It's absolutely my pleasure. Really is. It's going good at this end. How's it going with you?
So good. I can hardly stand it, my friend.
I love that. That's awesome. So before we jump into today's conversation, which is going to be a really exciting and cool one, do you want to give us an idea about your background, what you've been up to, and what you're focused on today?
Yeah. So proud mom of 5 beautiful kids. It is Christmas break. My patience is wearing thin. So if you would like a child, I will happily share for free. So busy with those kiddos, but I actually am a doctor of chiropractic. 2 previous practices, sold my last one just before COVID. Great move. And other than that, been in the real estate space since 2015 in the single family space, and moved into the multifamily in 2017. And it was the best move I have ever made. And we are making massive waves in the ocean. To the tune of this year for 2020, we'll have closed on 8 properties with our team. So it's been quite fun.
That's awesome.
Game changing.
Yeah. I told you off air beforehand, I don't know how you do it. I've got one son and he like runs me ragged as it is. So I can't imagine raising 5 kids. You're a special, amazing type of person, I think, to be able to raise 5 kids. I have a newfound respect for anyone who has more than 2 kids. I think I can do 2, but over that, you need eyes in the back of your head and I don't know, multiple arms and never-ending energy, I think, to keep up with that. So
that's awesome. Now it's really helpful to have in-laws and parents that live close by, and they helped us lift the weight of it. So, and lastly, the Lord gives grace in the space. So thank goodness for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were a chiropractic doctor, right? Is that, did I say that correct?
Yes.
What made you want to go into that space before we dive into the real estate?
No, absolutely. I had 2 uncles that were chiropractors, and they totally awe-inspired me with their profession. I love the fact that you could be your own boss. I love the fact that you could raise and have a family and have that type of freedom to come and go versus having a 9-to-5 and having a job, which is just over broke, I like to call it, right? Because you're really, in essence, building somebody else's dream versus your own. And so I like the idea of just being, I really have always had that entrepreneurial spirit and wanted to be able to pass something like such on to my family. So that is really, and then of course I'm an athlete, ran a handful of marathons and have done a lot of sports, and I just love how the body works, and it's pretty powerful. And so chiropractic is awesome when it comes to aligning the spine and making everyone feel fine. So
and getting some good cracks along the way as well, right? Making those big pops.
Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. But then you said you've since sold both your practices. What was that, real estate that brought that on, or was it something else?
Yeah, kind of long story short is I got started in real estate in 2015 while I was in practice. And in 2017, made the jump to move to Texas from Southern California. And at that time, I had brought in some other doctors into my practice, became the director because I was having some success in that real estate space and really just became super passionate about it. And so for the last 3 years, I've been the director of my wellness center in Southern California and finally said, you know what, it's time to part ways and be 100% focused in the multifamily space. And so that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating that that real estate took over, right? That's what you wanted to kind of do. Because a lot of people might think, okay, you have these practices that you have, and that's kind of would be a dream for a lot of people. But you said no, real estate's a better space for me. Why do you think real estate was a better space for you? Why did you prefer to sell those businesses and focus on real estate, you think?
Such a good idea, or such a good question, I should say. I loved my practices. I love that I was not that 9 to 5, 5 or 6 days a week. From the get go, it was always 3 days that I was working. And so we had other people that were in there bringing in that passive income for myself as the business owner. So I already had a taste of what passive income was like, right? But there is something I will tell you is the pressure of having a $50,000 overhead at the end of the month and 30 team members slash headaches that no, not really, team members that I was responsible for, right? That's a little bit of undue pressure. I have, 5 kids at home, and here I am with another handful and array of others. And so I think it was really just the freedom that I found in real estate and the mailbox money that came from all of our single family rentals, right? So I got a taste of that. And as I got a taste of that, I said, oh my gosh, listen, how is it that my children, and just like a lot of other mothers and fathers out there, I'm all for my kids, right? We want them to be far more successful than we have ever been. And so I figured that the likelihood of them becoming a chiropractor was probably very minimal. And the likelihood of them being able to enter into the real estate space and learn to own assets and create passive income was probably much higher, right? And so as I got a taste for it, I thought, my gosh, I want to leave well, first, I want to change the trajectory of my family's life, but I also want to leave a massive legacy. And I know that through real estate, as we've seen time and time again, where the billionaires are birthed is through real estate.
Yeah.
So it got me pretty fired up after, being in the real estate space in the single family arena and having a practice. And I really just became extremely passionate about real estate.
That's cool. Yeah, I love real estate too. But some people like that might be listening to this that might not necessarily invest in real estate themselves, or they might not fully understand it themselves. Um, so you said you had $50,000 overhead every month. You had all these employees that you had to take care of. Some people might say, well, that's pretty similar to real estate, right? If you own multifamily, you have a mortgage every month. You have large debt payments that you have to make, right? You mentioned that you're in multifamily, right? These are millions of dollars worth of debt that you have, right? That's coming, you have to take care of. That's over your head. And also if you have a 100-unit property, that's 100 tenants that you have, right? That's a lot more than 30 employees. So what would you say is the difference to those people that might ask in those questions?
I don't mean to digress, but let me just go back and equate it to the single family space.
Yep.
Because doing the single family space, right? And my husband and I had created a turnkey company in the single family space. And we were wearing the ones wearing the hat of finding the deal, finding the investor, putting all the pieces together. And there are a couple things that I absolutely love about the multifamily space that get me fired up. Number one, coming from the single family space, really when you buy single family properties, you can only get up to 10 loans, right? That's one thing. In the commercial space, you're buying a larger asset, but you can have unlimited. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, you tell me, when you play the game of Monopoly, did you want to be the chick or the dude that landed on Vermont and collected $50? Or did you want to be the chick or the dude that landed on Boardwalk that could collect $50,000 because they had the hotel with whatever 500 doors and one roof, right?
Yeah.
So it was really about decreasing the liabilities that comes with a single family and a tenant moving out and having a vacant unit versus having 100 unit, losing 10%, you still had 90 doors working for you, right? Yeah. And so that was one thing that, or a couple things that really turned me on to wanting to move into that multifamily space. But your question was, because I didn't answer it, what was it, Barry?
It was, it was, so you said that you wanted to get out, you wanted to sell the office because you had liability every month, you had all these employees. Some people might say real estate is the same because you have the debt that you have to service every month, you have the tenants that you have to manage them, right? What would you say to those people?
Yes. Okay. So going back, sorry, I didn't mean to divert.
No, all good. No, that was a good
one. What happens is in the single family space, as we're trying to find the deal and putting it all of it together, just imagine going into the multifamily space, okay? And being able to have, for us or for myself, I've got 4 other partners. We each stay massively in our lane and we wear our own hat. So imagine that my strength, of course, I have a weakness, as we all do, but imagine having a partner that has the strength, which happens to be my weakness, and talk about creating synergy and lightening your load because you have 4 other partners to help you take down this deal. It is so stinking fun because you have team members that are on the same drive to get to the same destination as you, right? To have a successful asset, to be able to help other investors make a great return on their money, so on and so forth. But when you work with partners that are passionate about what we get the pleasure of doing, it's a massive game changer. So for that, I think it's really just your load is much lighter in this space.
Yeah. And I think also with the good thing about real estate in general, right? You can take single family or multifamily as opposed to businesses. These tenants are, they sign a year's lease, right? So for a year for the most part, okay, you might have to make evictions, but for the most part, you're good for a year, right? So this tenant is paying down your mortgage. They have a lease for a year. And the good thing as well, you have for the most part, right? You have property managers that manage these things for you. So they take that headache. So you're putting another layer in between what you have to do. So it's when you have your own business, that's all on you, right? If people don't come in that month, you have all these overheads, you have these people that you have to pay, they have lives as well, right? It's not quite the same, I think. And I think, that's because I think people could see similarities, but I think, in my opinion, they're completely different, 2 different things.
Well, I think even just to stack up on that, when you are purchasing a multifamily asset, you have a a property management company that is their specialty, right? Is to take care of a multifamily, which is way different. There's 2 different type of property management companies, a residential one and a multifamily. They run completely separate. With that being said, yes, they're in charge of our asset and we're overseeing them. Again, it's one thing to trust, it's another to verify. But when you create a vision with a property management company of your goal to acquire 500 doors, they want to put their best foot forward to make sure that you're well taken care of so that they can continue to grow as well, right? So it's super important for all the listeners out there that don't know. It is extremely important to vet out your property managers and talk to multiple different ones. Make sure you have the right questions for them and that their answers are on point, because a property manager, my friend, can either make you or break you. So we certainly want you to win. So make sure you vet out well.
Yeah, 100%, right. A good property management company can turn an average property into good, but a bad property manager can turn a good property pretty bad, right? You can kind of, so it's more, the property manager is almost more important than the deal to some extent. Maybe not, it depends, right? But that's how important they are. I think sometimes people underestimate how important they are, I think.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have partners, right? And that you have your strength, and this is talked about all the time, and I think people hear it quite often, and it's so true, right? It's a team sport. You want people that have your weaknesses as their strength, and you want to have your strength be their weaknesses, so you can plug in those holes, and you like you said, as a team, you make a full picture, right? You guys fill in that picture together. But out of interest, what is your strength and what is the other people's strengths? Because that would be interesting for people, because it's one thing to hear that, okay, you need a team, blah, blah, blah. But what strengths you need and and it'd be interesting, what is your strength as well? Outside of being awesome and amazing.
Oh, you know what? I'm about to put you in my back pocket, Gary. I appreciate it. I receive it all. Uh, for me, I love people. People skills is I operate really well with that, investor relations. I love, love, love to negotiate. There's nothing better than a great deal, right? So I do love that. But I will say, for example, one of my partners, you can literally put him in a closet with no windows and he would go spreadsheet happy and recreating spreadsheets. And then another partner that's all about demographics and project management, another partner that also is great with broker relationships. So we have all, it's like this. Think of it this way. When you play in a football team, right? How do you get the ball across the stinking finish line, right? Not one player can do it all. You've got to have the quarterback and the lineman and the so on and so forth. Same concept. Because our team, one would say, you know, why do you have so many team players? That's crazy. You dilute everything. You got to share amongst all these people. Guess what? We get that stinking ball across the finish line probably faster than most, right? Because we have such a solid, well-equipped team that we've got a greasy will, which makes this churn and burn. And that's why we're doing some awesome stuff.
Yeah, and you get across the finish line a lot more often as well, right? Like you said, some people might be like, well, you're sharing that pie more often. Well, you essentially get more pie, right? You get more touchdowns, right, with a team, right? Yeah, maybe you get, you know, that bigger piece of that pie if you did it yourself, but really you're not going to get as fast. So I think, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I think that also, you know, at the end of the day, who are you choosing to link arms with? The cool part is my team is not about money and manipulation. And not that everybody is. I don't mean it that way, but here's the deal, like for us, our company, it's called Quattro Capital and we've got 4 pillars. And so our 4 pillars that we focus on are obviously people. We want to do right for people by people. We want to find an incredible property. We want to make sure we can get those profits back in our investors' hands. And lastly, one of the most important, I feel, is philanthropy. We want to be about people and doing good in this world that is absolutely in disarray right now, right? It's to spread the love and help others that are struggling out there. So our intentions are right, and we are completely aligned and share the same values. And that is absolutely uber important when you are linking arms with people.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I don't see you as a people person at all, to be honest. I thought I'm just kidding.
Thanks, Gary.
I was just kidding. We started the call and immediately it was asking me a bunch of questions, and we had a great comment. Like straight off the bat, I was like, okay, this is very easy to talk to. That's for sure. And you can tell that you enjoy talking to people as well. So you said that this year you guys have really started diving into the multifamily space, right? And you've taken down 8 deals, I believe, this year.
Correct. Yes.
Talk us about that first deal, because I think that first deal is key for a lot of people, right? For a number of reasons: proof of concept, credibility, knowledge, education, right? All that good stuff, right? Maybe talk us through that first deal that you guys at Quattro Capital did.
I love this deal, and it's probably one of my most exciting, and I feel so accomplished for. And I'm just going to share it because it's really about, in this space, thinking outside the box. There are so many ways to skin a cat. It's absolutely incredible. And one of my favorite things is turning on those creative juices and letting them flow, right? And so when Quattro started to work together on the first deal, we decided that we were going to take it down as a joint venture. And so the 4 of us at the time decided that we were each going to come in for 25%. And this deal in particular meant that I needed to bring $300,000 to the table to have my 25% piece. And so my husband and I, we own a handful of rental properties that are free and clear. And I thought, okay, well, I guess I'll go refinance these, a couple of them, and pull some cash out. And I woke up in the middle of the night with this brilliant idea, and I put it in play the next day. I went on Facebook and I said, how would you like to be the bank, make a great return, and have it backed by real estate? And my Facebook just blew up. And within 48 hours, I had my hands on the 300,000. And what I did in return is I said, basically 100,000 from you, I'll give you 7% quarterly payout. It's a 2-year minimum, 3-year maximum, and then we'll make you whole, right? And so One would say, oh, you're busted because you're linking it to the multifamily, but that was not the case. It was completely linked. And now they were in first position on my single family properties, each of them, right? So I had nothing to do with the multifamily, yet the multifamily is what pays them their 7% because we had found a really great property that was cash on cash 11% the day we walked in on the property. Y'all, it is all about arbitrage. If I'm making 11%, I pay them 7%. I'm still walking with what? Do the math, like 4%,
Yeah.
right? So
yeah, but not 4%, but 4% on $0 essentially, right? If they came up with that whole amount. So 4% on money is one thing, right? If you put up 100,000 and you get 4%, which is $4,000 a year, okay, you might, okay, that's not a good return. But 4% on $0 is an infinite return, right? And it's a completely different return, right?
Amen. Yes, yes, yes. So that's pretty fired up.
That is so cool. So let me go through that again to make sure I understand that and everyone else understand that. So essentially, they were putting loans on your single family homes, right? And if you defaulted on any of your payments, they were able to take one of those single family homes. But you set up a 7% payment to them. You're going to pay them 7% of whatever they borrow to you over the course of they will get it over the course of a year, but the loan was set up over 2 years. So, but then you took that money that you made from the multifamily, the cash flow that you guys made from that multifamily, and paid them off every month with that.
Correct. Here's the best part, you guys. This is the best part from it. It is all about how can we help other people win? Do you think that I went out and begged the individuals and said, hey, can you give me a loan for 7%? I said, I've got an incredible opportunity. So guess what? The first payment goes out to that investor, and guess what he says? Aaron, thank you so much for this incredible opportunity. I just got my first payout. This is super exciting. And I'm like, if only you knew. I feel pretty excited about what you do. Of course, I sent him a message back saying, hey, you know what? It's my pleasure. I'm loving working with you. I can't wait to see where we go in the future. Why? Because we always got to be selling the vision of excitement. We're not put here on this earth to settle for mediocrity. Let's go find some excitement, some good, and let's go help take other people with us.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's a completely, you hear all the time as well, right? When you're offering people to be part of a deal and you're not asking anyone for money, right? You're giving them the opportunity. And I thoroughly believe that, because where else are they going to put that money, right? But also what you said, that adds another layer to that. Add that excitement to it, right? Add that thrill and that buzz about it as well, right? Not just, hey, I'm giving you an opportunity. I'm giving you, you know what I mean? It's different, right? And I think if you create that excitement as well, and people are excited to be a part of it, I think that's really cool. And I love how you structure that. That's just so cool. Right? But was there any part of you that was worried about that? Because obviously, if the multifamily hits any kind of hiccup, if anyone can go wrong, essentially you could. It's a kind of a little bit of a house of cards, I guess, a little bit, right?
I think that here's the deal. When you are running your numbers uber conservative, because I feel like a lot of people, I hate to say this, but they create pipe dreams and something that's not realistic, meaning they want to rehab 100 units in year one. Like, come on, let's be really, really conservative here, because the last thing I want to do is screw over my investors. Why? Because if we do this right the first time, right, and we under promise and over deliver, you will have lifers. And for me, I'm not looking for a one-off. I'm looking for a lifetime of creating success for other people. So when you run your numbers uber conservative and you know without a shadow of a doubt you can get there, you can walk in confidence. So I didn't ever go, oh my gosh, what if I can't do this? First of all, I've already got that arbitrage, that buffer there, right? And then guess what? We're going to refinance it at year 2 anyways, and we're going to take the money out and pay them off. The beauty is when you speak from a place of passion, excitement, and they like you, they know you, and they trust you, game over. I'm making interest only payments, you guys. I created that idea. I casted the fit, or what is it? The pole, the fish, the hook. I casted the hook. They bit the hook. You create an opportunity, and if they like you, they're going to run with it.
Yeah. How many units was that first deal?
35.
Okay.
Not big.
What was the purchase price?
Just under 2.6 million.
Okay. Was it, so you guys raised 1.2 for that? Was there I'm guessing there was some renovation work needed. And what was the business plan on
It
that?
wasn't, to be quite frank, I think our raise on it was 700,000. I'm the one that went out on a limb and was like, hang tight, I think I got this, right? And so that's really what we did there. We were $100 under market. We don't like to take down properties, call us snobby, but we don't like to take down properties unless we can get $100 rent bump. And so this one was fully occupied and was a diamond in the rough, really from a contact that we had known. It was another owner that was looking to sell, and we happened to we just closed on with them their second property because their partnership broke up. So it always is in your best interest to just stay the course and stay in contact with individuals, because you never know the fruit that's going to come from it.
Wow. So that deal didn't come through a broker. How did you guys find that deal?
Nope, it was a friend, a mutual friend that we got introduced to. And, after we bought that property, we went and celebrated. This was so cool. Usually when you go to celebrate on a closing of the property, I don't know, for my first property, the sellers didn't even want to meet us, right? They were like, nope, we want to stay apart. This one, they happened to be really young. By the way, they were all under the age of 25, 3 gentlemen, great guys to work with. They wanted to take us out to dinner and go celebrate the close afterwards. And we went and played pool together afterward. Like, it was just awesome, right? So we created this working relationship, and just, it was really amicable and awesome. And hence they came back with us with another property when their partnership broke up. So you never know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Awesome.
That's cool. That's the first time I've heard of that as well. Like the owners and the buyers going out and celebrating. But that's cool, right? Everyone was happy, right? That's what you, in a transaction, that's awesome, right? You don't want to screw everyone over or like get such a good deal that the other side is so mad and
Sure.
they hate you because of it, right? If you can create that win-win situation that everyone always hears about, that's it's a great way to do business, right? It's just going to lead to deals. So then you've done 7 more deals since that, right? Like that's a pretty fast sort of trajectory. How were you able to grow so quickly?
So, okay, being a mom of 5, and hopefully this will resonate with some mamas that are listening in here. I was going to go to that closing, right? That's in Knoxville, Tennessee, to go close on this 35 unit. And I knew if my butt was going to go all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee, I better multitask and go meet and have some other contacts and connections when I go there.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody always says, stay away from LoopNet. I went to LoopNet, and I actually was just seeing if there was anything floating in Knoxville while I was going to be out there. And I actually ran across another 35 unit. And I'm going to share this with you because I think for your listeners, this may really speak volume to them. So I went to LoopNet. First of all, everybody says it's bad. Don't go there. I disagree. So I went and I found a 35 unit. The gentleman that was selling it, I called him 7 days in a row. He never answered the phone call. And the 8th day, I thought, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to throw out this doctor thing. And with a couple other things. And so I called him and I said, this is Dr. Hudson. I'm calling in regards to your 35 unit. I'm actually coming out to close on another property there in Knoxville, right? So I'm creating like this. And then I said, I see your property. I know I've called for 7 days straight, but I want to put in an offer on your property. When I get there, I'd love to walk the doors. And he called me back right away.
Wow.
And I said, right away, he answers and he goes, so what's this property? I know you've been calling me for 7 days. I'm sorry, I've been busy. What's this property you're closing on? So right away, he's trying to find out if there's credibility. And that's why he didn't call me before, because I didn't speak about all that because I couldn't. I thought for sure he'd call me back. Well, I said Castle, I told him the name of the property, and he goes, well, mine's better than that one. And I said, well, tell me why. He goes, because yours is over 5 buildings or whatnot, and mine is it's got 1 roof. And I said, well, fantastic. Tell me more. So anyhow, long story short, I had built up this credibility by saying I was closing on the property. I built up the credibility on the phone call by saying, hey, as a matter of fact, recently I just closed on a 104 unit. Your 35 unit is not even, like, we're not even looking for a 35 unit. We go after 100 plus doors, but right now everybody wants 100 plus doors. And he's like, well, you're absolutely right. So I said, we had to shift our model. We had to figure out how could we quickly acquire 3 30-unit apartment buildings so we could have 100 as soon as possible, right? So he goes, you're right. And I said, so with that being said, do you happen to have any more properties? And he goes, well, I sure do, but I want to build up this trust with this relationship first, and then I'll share with you. So right away, he knew that we wanted more, and I let him talk, and I found out the pain points and why he was selling. You guys, this guy on LoopNet was the original builder of the 35 unit. He is a broker and the owner of this property and had over 300 plus more doors, right? So within 15 minutes, I ended up getting 110 units in my inbox. And long story short, we ended up closing on 67 of those. And hold on a second, it gets better. I feel like an infomercial. We had bought at 76,000 a door on that property I was going to close on. With master negotiations, we ended up closing on this property, which is a couple miles from that one, for $56,000 a door, because they were so far under market that we weren't going to pay a higher price point on what it coulda, shoulda, will be. It's based on how it's performing today, right? So we ended up getting that as like a fire sale before the fire sale.
But that's fascinating. Okay, awesome. Congratulations to start off with, right? That's awesome. But what negotiation tips, what negotiation skills did you do to do that, right? Because it's one thing to say, hey, your property is only worth this, the NOI is only this, but sellers, especially in today's market, right? They're not always realistic because they know they can get pro forma prices a lot of times, right? What kind of negotiation tricks and hacks or whatever magic tricks did you pull out to be able to get it like that?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. So I knew that he wanted $70,000 a door. It said that on LoopNet. Mind you, we had just paid $76,000. Our $76,000 a door was a little bit better quality property than this one, I would say. But so I told him I wanted to make an offer on that phone call. I said, it's coming to you today. I'm making an offer on this. He goes, okay, fantastic. And I found out a couple things, you guys. I found out the pain point. Nobody's going to let you in on their juice until you make them feel special and important, right? Not with manipulation, just clean, pure heart, right? And long story short, I was able to get out of him that he was selling this, right? We find out why they're selling, because he's going to buy a commercial building and do a 1031 exchange. When he said the word 1031 exchange, I went bing, 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 because I knew the ball was now in my court, right? So I wasn't looking to take advantage of him, but I had called my partners and I said, look, I'm going to put in an offer on this. What do you guys feel I should put the offer in at? And, because we didn't have all the financials, we just know what things are trading for in the area. And they said, put it in for 67,000. And I am not kidding you. Everything in my gut said, hell no, go deeper. So I put in an LOI, y'all, for $60,000. And I didn't tell my partners because I knew they'd think I was freaking crazy. So I put in the offer, and I kid you not, the next day I got a response and it said, okay, we'll accept your offer at 60,000. And I remember calling my partners and I'm like, y'all, guess what? He accepted my offer at 60,000. So we were pretty fired up about that. But after doing our, doing the financial due diligence, we just couldn't pay that. We knew that it was probably definitely worth paying the 60,000, but we buy off of how it's performing today. I can't even stress that enough, because you get all these offering memorandums that say, oh, performa is this, performa is that. Like, you buy off today. And so we had to go back to him and tell him, unfortunately, we can't pay this price. And it's not that we're wanting to come back and retrade with you. It's the sheer fact that we cannot give our investors the type of return we need to give them in order for them to link arms with us, right? So he really rudely got off the phone with us and was upset. But guess who came back and ate humble pie 2 hours later?
Yeah.
I did. Why? Because he already had a 1031 that he had money hard on. He already knew that we were the real deal and that we could close, right? So was it worth it for him to put it back on the market and start over from ground zero after we have already walked every unit, we already came to our agreements and so on and so forth? It wasn't. So we told him, look, our price point is 57,000. And if you can't do it, we get it. We don't want to be disrespectful to you. As a matter of fact, we hope to work with you again in the near future on the next deal. Well, so that was the celebration. We did end up getting it for just under 57,000.
Yeah, so many good points there. So many, it's about listening, right, and understanding. It's not just looking at the property from your perspective, right? You have to understand, and you hear it time and time again, right? But it's easy to forget, right? You've just really got to ask the right questions, got to be personable, got to have a good conversation with them as well, right? And kind of try and have them open up to you, right? And it's for the benefit of both of you, because obviously, like you said, you're not trying to manipulate that person. You're trying to understand what his problem is, and if you understand what his problem is, you can better solve that problem. And he needed someone that was going to close, that's going to do what they needed to, that was going to do what they said they were going to do. Otherwise, he was in trouble with the next deal that he was trying to do through a 1031, and you understood that, and you knew that you could close, so you could come in and say, hey, this is where we're at, and you were doing it on financials as well. You weren't just saying, oh, I wanted the lowest price possible. This is what the financials are. This is what the NOI is. This is what we're paying according to that NOI. We're not paying according to anything else. And ultimately, that's fair for everyone, I think, right? It's just a win-win ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, we showed him the breakdown on our numbers and how we arrived at where we were. It was all legitimate, right? It wasn't us trying to take advantage of him, and he knew that. But anyhow, yeah, it was a win for us for sure, for sure.
Awesome. Well, congrats on all your success. It's really cool. I appreciate everything you've shared. It's just been a fun interview with a lot of great information, right? It's just really, really cool. But as this show is called Wrestling with Real Estate, I like to incorporate some wrestling related real estate questions. And I'll start with the first one is, what would your wrestling name be? If you picked a wrestling name for yourself, what would that be?
Oh, Barry, really? So fitting. I would say I don't know, Barry, the Hungry Hustler. How about that?
Okay, the Hungry
Hustler. All right, that works.
That works, yeah, because you're hungry and you're hustling. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Now, every wrestler has a special move, right? It's their biggest strength. When they hit that special move in the match is over, because that's what they're really good at. What is your special move in real estate? What is your biggest strength, essentially?
Biggest strength, I would say, honestly, resourcefulness. Like super, super uber resourceful, and figure out a way to make it a win-win for other individuals, and just thinking outside the box. That's what you'll get with me. Massively thinking outside the box. I tend to not take no for an answer. There's no mountain too high. I'm hungry. I will find a way to get her done.
Yeah, well, you proved that with that first deal. That's such a cool structure on that first deal. I think that's awesome. What's been the biggest body slam you've taken in your real estate investing career?
Body slam, my gosh. I will have to say, how fitting with this crazy COVID. It was on our 67 unit. We were 12 days out from closing, and COVID struck, and they told us that our loan was good. 12 days out from closing, they pulled that loan out from underneath us with $150,000 hard. And I kid you not, that was our biggest body slam of 2 weeks of no sleep, trying to find a new lender with better terms that would make it advantageous for us to move forward. And truthfully, we were about to take a loss. And that's how I knew we were working with the right team and that my partners were on the up and up, because we all were willing to take a loss on that $150,000 versus putting our investors in a deal that was no longer going to be advantageous for them. And so that was probably the biggest body slam. But I will say, because we were doing right by the people and we were willing to walk, the good Lord just brings in greatness, right? When we do the right thing, and we ended up getting better terms than pre-COVID at the 11th hour. So it worked out awesome.
Ended up working out. Yeah. How cool. How cool. I'm glad to hear that. So was there a moment that you were standing on the top rope getting ready to jump, but you were too scared? What was it, and how did you overcome it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was terrified. My first deal that I did, I actually had raised $2 million with my investors just from my own credibility, right? And so for me, I'm all about the people, right? We want to take care of our people. We want to make sure that the investment we put them in is going to be massively prosperous. And I think for anybody listening to this, there's nothing more important than under promising and over delivering with your people. Why? Because we're not in this space for a one hit wonder. It's really about, if we can take care of our people properly from right out of the gate and under promise and over deliver, as I shared with Barry before, you're going to have lifers. They are never going to want to leave you, because you walk out that business model like nobody's business, and you execute and you follow through. And so really, I think that's what I would say.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Erin, this has been so much fun. Like you're a ball of energy and awesomeness. I've really loved this, and you shared a lot of stuff. Like even I'm taking notes as we were going and learning as we were going. So I think everyone got a lot of value and a lot of enjoyment actually as well from your personality as well as we've done this. Before we kind of end this, where can people find out more for you, and how can they get in touch with you if they want to do so?
Yeah, definitely. Go to www.thequattroway, that's two T's, QUATTRO way.com. I would love for you to learn a little bit about my incredible team that I get the pleasure of working with. And right there, you can book an appointment with me and let's get on a call. I'd love to find out how I can help you and further your direction you're going in this wonderful space.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys check that out. And I'll put the link in the description and the show notes so that people can do that. But I don't think you'll regret calling Erin. I think even if you just call up to chat, you'll enjoy it. So thank you so much today for doing on this. It's been awesome, and have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you. My pleasure. Take care, Barry.